Welcome. You are listening to the Retention Mindset, a strategic audio companion designed to be heard alongside the Keep Them Coming Back framework. Over the next 15 minutes, we are going to step away from the spreadsheets and the technical audits to talk about the psychological engine behind every successful business, the human connection. Here is what you can expect from this session. First, we will dismantle the acquisition trap, the cycle of chasing new leads that is likely draining your energy and your budget. Second, we will explore the three invisible pillars of loyalty that govern why a customer chooses to stay or leave. Third, I am going to walk you through a live retention calibration exercise that you can apply to your business immediately. And finally, we will define what it means to build a magnet brand, a business that grows through attraction rather than pursuit. This is not a marketing pitch. This is a recalibration of how you see your customers and your legacy. Let's begin. Section 1. The Prelude, the Great Deception of Growth. Welcome to this immersion. You are about to embark on a journey that is, in its very essence, a radical act of professional and philosophical rebellion. We are beginning today not with a simple tip or a marketing hack, but with a direct, uncompromising confrontation of what I call the Great Deception. This deception is the invisible architecture that governs the modern global marketplace, and it is likely the very thing that has been keeping you on a treadmill of exhaustion for years. Look around you at the digital landscape of the 21st century. Look at the noise on your social media feeds, the relentless influx of your inbox, and the headlines of the mainstream business press. What do you see? You see a frantic, high-decibel, almost pathological obsession with the top of the funnel. You see an endless, repetitive stream of courses, webinars, and gurus promising the latest Facebook ad secrets, TikTok algorithm hacks, and viral SEO blueprints. The entire world of entrepreneurship has been hypnotized by the spark, that fleeting, dopamine-heavy, intoxicating moment of the first sale. We have been culturally and commercially conditioned to believe that a business is only healthy, only vibrant, and only successful if it is constantly hunting for new blood. We have been taught, subtly and overtly, to treat our customers like fuel to be burned in the furnace of quarterly growth, rather than as the sacred foundation upon which a multi-generational legacy is actually built. But this acquisition-first mentality is a dangerous trap. It is a strategic treadmill that never stops, and the laws of economics dictate that the faster you run, the more expensive it becomes just to stay in the exact same place. Every year, the platforms you don't own increase their rent. Every year, the attention span of the new lead shrinks. Every year, the cost of a click rises while the value of a hello falls. If you are living in the acquisition trap, you are a tenant farmer, tilling land that belongs to Mark Zuckerberg or Google, hoping they don't raise the taxes tomorrow. We are here today to talk about something entirely different. We are here to discuss the retention mindset. Let me be clear, this is not a small adjustment to your marketing plan. This is not a tactic to be used for a promotional weekend and then filed away. This is a fundamental, tectonic shift in your professional DNA. It is the deep, quiet realization that the most profitable, most sustainable, most resilient, and most peaceful business you can ever own is one where the back door is locked, and the front door is an invitation to a transformation, not just a transaction. We are moving toward a model of a business that functions as a magnet, not a sieve. Think for a moment about the physical, literal reality of a sieve. It is a vessel designed to let things pass through it. No matter how much water you pour in from the top, no matter how high you turn the pressure of the faucet, the vessel is always empty 5 minutes later. This is the tragic reality for the vast majority of modern entrepreneurs. They are perpetually thirsty. They are always desperate for the next lead, the next launch, and the next campaign because the bottom of their business is leaking their most valuable assets, the people who already said yes. Why do we let this happen? It happens because new is exciting while keep feels like maintenance. But maintenance is where the wealth is. Maintenance is where the peace is. In the keep them coming back philosophy, we do not view the customer journey as a linear path that ends at a checkout page. We view it as a circular ecosystem. When someone buys from you, they aren't finishing a journey, they are starting a relationship. If you look at the history of the world's most enduring brands, the ones that survived depressions, world wars, and technological shifts, they all share one secret. They don't chase customers, they cultivate them. They understand that a customer who stays for 5 years is worth 100 customers who stay for 5 minutes. They understand the compounding interest of trust. Trust is the only currency that doesn't depreciate if you spend it wisely. This session is your formal recalibration. This is the moment you stop being a frantic, exhausted hunter in a crowded forest and start being a master cultivator in your own garden. We are here to discuss the architecture of a brand that doesn't just catch people like fish in a net, but keeps them like guests at a dinner table. We are moving away from the performance of business, where everything is done for the eyes of strangers, and moving into the depth of business, where everything is done for the hearts of your community. As you listen to the sections that follow, I want you to prepare yourself to let go of the hustle metrics that have been draining your bank account and your spirit. I want you to embrace the math of care. I want you to imagine a business where your revenue grows not because you spent more on ads, but because your customers are so successful, so deeply seen, and so profoundly valued that they wouldn't dream of looking for an alternative. This is the path to true professional freedom. This is the path to a magnet brand. This is the work of transforming your business from a transaction machine into a relationship engine. You are no longer just an entrepreneur. You are a guardian of your customers' success. You are a builder of legacies. Let us begin the work of plugging the leaks and building a foundation that will stand for decades. We are not just building a list. We are building a home for your audience. Welcome to the Retention Mindset. Section 2. The Anatomy of the Acquisition Trap and the Economics of Care. In this second chapter of our immersion, we must pull back the curtain and perform a clinical, yet deeply human autopsy on the acquisition trap. To defeat a cycle that is draining your business, you must first understand the invisible chains that keep it in place. Why are we, as creators, founders, and entrepreneurs, so easily seduced by the hunt for the new? Why do we prioritize the stranger over the supporter? The answer, as we touched on earlier, is fundamentally neurochemical. We live in a notification economy. Every time a new order hits your Stripe account, every time a new lead enters your CRM, and every time a stranger follows your brand, your brain receives a jagged spike of dopamine. It is an instant, intoxicating hit of validation. It feels like the market is casting a vote for your worth. It feels like momentum. But we must be honest with ourselves. That validation is a shadow. It is a transactional high that masks a deep, systemic structural low. When you focus 90% of your creative, financial, and emotional resources on capturing the next person, you are performing a subtle but devastating act of abandonment toward the person who is already standing right in front of you. You are essentially sending a subconscious message to your current customers that says, "Thank you for your initial investment, but I am now far too busy looking for someone better than you to actually help you succeed." This neglect creates what I call the acquisition tax. This is the hidden cost of a business model that refuses to grow roots. In the world of paid media, the cost of a lead is not a static number. It is an auction-driven reality that increases every single year as more noise enters the marketplace. If you rely solely on acquisition, you are building your legacy on rented land. You are a tenant farmer of the algorithm, forever subject to the whims of platforms that do not know your name and do not care about your mission. You are paying a premium to speak to strangers while your friends, your customers, are waiting for a sign that they still matter to you. Now, let us contrast this with the economics of care. When we move into the retention mindset, the math changes in your favor. Established research from Harvard Business Review and Bain & Company has proven time and again that it costs between 5 to 7 times more to acquire a new customer than it does to retain an existing one. But the profit doesn't just come from the savings on ad spend. The real wealth is found in the compound interest of trust. A customer who stays with you for 1 year is statistically twice as likely to refer their inner circle than someone who has only known you for a week. Think about the psychological safety of a retained customer. They have already crossed the trust threshold. They have already navigated your checkout process, consumed your initial content, and decided that you are a person of integrity. Because that trust is already established, their customer lifetime value, or CLV, just grow linearly. It grows exponentially. They become less price-sensitive. They become more forgiving of minor mistakes. They become the primary source of your most valuable assets: social proof, testimonials, and high-quality referrals. When you focus on retention, you aren't just being nice or doing good customer service. You are performing the highest level of business optimization. You are generating organic momentum. You are turning your customer base into a volunteer sales force that works for you 24 hours a day, fueled by nothing but their own genuine success and satisfaction. We are moving away from the performance of business, that exhausting theater where everything is done to impress people who don't know you, and we are moving into the depth of business, where everything is done to empower the people who already believe in you. Imagine, for a moment, a business where your revenue grows not because you doubled your ad budget, but because your customers are so profoundly successful that they wouldn't dream of looking for an alternative. Imagine a business where your marketing is simply a collection of stories told by people whose lives you have actually changed. This is the ultimate goal of the retention mindset. It is the path to true professional freedom. It is the transition from being a vendor of products to being a guardian of results. In the acquisition trap, you are always hunting, and therefore you are always tired. In the economics of care, you are always cultivating, and therefore you are always growing. As we move into the next sections, I want you to hold this question in your mind. If I stopped all my marketing today, if I never ran another ad or posted another piece of top-of-funnel content, how long would my business thrive based solely on the loyalty of the people I have already served? The answer to that question is the true measure of your business's health. It is time to stop paying the acquisition tax and start investing in the legacy fund. It is time to shift from the culture of the catch to the sacred culture of the keep. Section 3. Pillar 1, Cognitive Ease, Friction, and the Critical 48-Hour Window. We move now into the first structural pillar of our framework, the principle of cognitive ease. To truly master the art of retention, we must step away from the marketing jargon and look directly at the biological hardware of your customer's brain. We must understand that we are dealing with a human nervous system that has been refined over millions of years of evolution to do one primary thing: conserve energy. The human brain, while representing only about 2% of our body weight, consumes nearly 20% of our total energy. Because of this massive metabolic demand, the brain is hardwired to be a cognitive miser. It is constantly scanning the environment for the path of least resistance. It seeks simplicity, predictability, and ease. When a customer interacts with your brand, their brain is subconsciously calculating the energy cost of the relationship. If your process, your product, or your communication feels like work, if it requires them to stop, think, hunt for information, or resolve confusion, their primitive brain begins to flag your brand as a threat to its energy reserves. This is where the seed of churn is planted. To keep them coming back philosophy, we identify a specific high-stakes interval known as the critical window of vulnerability. This is the first 48 hours after a purchase. To the entrepreneur, this is a moment of celebration. But to the customer, this is a moment of maximum psychological tension. They have just handed over their hard-earned capital, their money, based on a promise you made. The moment the transaction is complete, buyer's remorse begins to whisper in the back of their mind. They are looking for immediate evidence that they made the right choice. They are looking for the aha, moment, that precise instant where the product's value is felt, not just understood. If you are silent during these 48 hours, you are leaving your business's future to chance. Most businesses believe their work ends at the thank you page. They send a cold, automated receipt and then vanish. They assume the customer is motivated enough to figure out the next steps on their own. But the customer is not just motivated. They are distracted, they are busy, and they are likely feeling a touch of anxiety. Your mission in this phase is to become what I call the invisible handrail. You aren't just selling a product anymore. You are coaching a success. Every proactive message you send in those first 2 days must be surgically designed to remove a friction point before the customer even encounters it. You must practice the art of preemptive service. Do not wait for the customer to email you asking how to log in. Tell them 10 minutes before they think to ask. Do not wait for them to wonder what the first step of the program is. Map it out for them in a way that requires zero intellectual effort. This is education as service. When you make it impossible for a customer to fail in the first 48 hours, you are providing them with the most valuable gift in the modern economy: cognitive ease. You are teaching their brain on a biological level that being in a relationship with you is safe, low energy, and high reward. Think about the most successful magnet brands in the world, brands like Apple or Amazon. Their primary competitive advantage isn't just the quality of their hardware, it is the total absence of friction. They make the yes so easy that the brain doesn't even have to process the choice. When you apply this to your connection scripts, you are building a psychological moat around your business. You are ensuring that by the time the dopamine of the purchase wears off, it has already been replaced by the satisfaction of progress. In this phase, simplicity is your greatest weapon. We are moving away from the over-delivery trap, where we overwhelm the customer with 50 bonuses they didn't ask for, and moving toward precise delivery. Give them exactly what they need to achieve their first micro-win. A micro-win is a small, undeniable piece of progress. It is the first time they use the tool successfully, the first page they read, the first setting they toggle. Once a customer has a micro-win, they no longer feel like they bought something. They feel like they achieved something. And people do not walk away from their own achievements. As you look at your onboarding process today, I want you to look for the gaps of silence. Where are you leaving the customer to wander in the dark? Where are you forcing them to spend cognitive energy to find their way? Every gap is a leak in your sieve. Every proactive handrail you build is a part of your magnet. We are building a foundation of ease so strong that the customer never even considers looking for an alternative. We are making it easy to stay because we have made it impossible to get lost. Section 4, Pillar 2, the psychology of silence and the art of the ghost intervention. Come now to the most haunting and misunderstood phenomenon in the world of business: silence. In the traditional, reactive model of commerce, the model that most of your competitors are still using, silence is treated as a success metric. We look at our dashboard and see that there are no new support tickets. We check our inbox and find no angry complaints. We see that the forums are quiet and the cancellation requests haven't spiked today. In that reactive mindset, we breathe a sigh of relief. We tell ourselves, no news is good news. They aren't complaining, so they must be satisfied. But I am here to tell you that this is a dangerous systemic delusion. In a magnet brand, we understand that silence is not satisfaction. In reality, silence is usually the sound of a customer fatting out. It is the quiet exit. It is the slow, steady erosion of engagement that occurs right before a relationship permanently dissolves. You see, anger is actually a form of engagement. An angry customer is still looking at you. They are shouting because they still care about the result they haven't achieved yet. But an indifferent customer has already looked away. They have stopped opening your emails. They have stopped logging into your platform. They have stopped using the tool you sold them. They have become ghosts. And ghosting is much harder to fix than anger, because while anger requires an apology, indifference requires a resurrection. In phase 2 of the keep them coming back strategy, we perform what I call the ghost intervention. This is a high-level psychological maneuver that requires you to step out of your comfort zone and into the role of a guardian. Most entrepreneurs are afraid to reach out to silent customers. They suffer from a fear that I call the cancellation trigger. They think, if I email this person who hasn't used the service in 3 weeks, I'm just going to remind them that they are paying for something they aren't using and they'll cancel. So, out of fear, they stay silent. They hope that the customer will keep paying for a ghost account forever. But this is short-term math. It is the math of a scavenger, not a leader. A person who pays for something they don't use will eventually realize it, and when they do, they won't just cancel. They will cancel with a feeling of resentment. They will feel like you took their money while they were asleep. That resentment ensures they will never return, and it ensures they will never refer a friend. You might win the month's subscription, but you have lost the legacy. A magnet brand is built on the truth. We practice intervention architecture. This means we monitor the pulse of the customer. If the pulse stops, if the logins cease, if the engagement drops below a certain threshold, we do not hide. We speak first. We reach out not to sell, not to pitch, and not to demand anything. We reach out to acknowledge. The ghost intervention script is an act of pure empathy. It says, I notice things have been quiet on your end. My primary goal is your success with goal/product. And I know that sometimes life gets loud and pushes our priorities aside. I'm not here to ask for more of your time. I'm here to ask if there is anything I can do to make your return easier. Consider the psychological impact of that message. To the customer, you have just moved from being a service to being a supporter. You have proven that you were watching them even when there was no immediate profit to be made from doing so. You have proven that their success matters more to you than their active status. This is where the human destroys the algorithm. An algorithm sees an inactive user as a data point to be purged or ignored. A human mentor sees a person who might be overwhelmed, discouraged, or simply busy with the complexities of life. When you speak into that silence with zero sales pressure, you do something profound. You re-anchor the relationship. You bring them back to the why, the reason they joined you in the first place. This intervention is often the exact catalyst a customer needs to restart their journey. It turns a moment of failure, their own lack of use, into a moment of grace, your proactive support. This is how you build a tribe. You build it by being the one who reaches out when everyone else is waiting for the invoice to bounce. You build it by being the safety net for their progress. Silence is the dark matter of business. You can't see it, but it's pulling your retention numbers down every single day. The ghost intervention is the light that brings them back. As you move through your customer list today, I want you to look for the quiet ones. Don't fear their departure, fear your own silence. Every ghost you ignore is a story that ended too soon. Every intervention you send is a chance to write a new chapter. We are not just saving subscriptions, we are reclaiming relationships. We are building a brand that cares enough to notice when someone is gone. That is the soul of a legacy. Section 5. Pillar 3. The Service Recovery Paradox and the Power of Proactive Integrity. Let us now speak about a reality that every entrepreneur fears, yet every entrepreneur must eventually face: the inevitability of failure. We have spent much of this session talking about the ideal journey, the path of ease, and the proactive reach-out. But we must also address the moments when the wheels come off. No matter how premium your brand is, no matter how much you pay for high-end software, and no matter how diligent your team is, you will eventually fail a customer. You will miss a critical deadline. A server will go down at the worst possible moment. A product will arrive at a customer's door damaged or incomplete. You will send an email with a broken link, or worse, an email that was meant to be private. In the traditional, acquisition-first mindset, these moments are viewed as catastrophes to be managed or, more often, hidden. Most businesses react to their own mistakes with what I call a defensive crouch. They go silent. They wait to see if the customer notices the error. They hope that the ghosting works in their favor this time. And if the customer does catch the mistake and complains, the business responds with a cold, scripted, corporate apology that feels as hollow as it looks. This approach doesn't just lose you a customer. It creates an anti-advocate, someone who will go out of their way to warn others about your lack of integrity. But in the retention mindset, we do not fear failure. We recognize it as the single greatest stage for building radical loyalty. We utilize a psychological phenomenon known as the service recovery paradox. This is a documented behavioral truth that states, a customer who has experienced a service failure, but has seen that failure resolved with extreme proactivity, becomes significantly more loyal to the brand than a customer who never experienced a failure at all. Think about the profound nature of that statement. It suggests that perfection is actually less valuable than recovery. Why? Because perfection is a facade. On some level, your customers know that perfection isn't real. They know that behind every polished website is a group of humans who make mistakes. Therefore, they don't truly trust perfection. They trust integrity. Perfection is easy when the sun is shining and the systems are running, but integrity is only visible in the dark. Integrity is what you do when the mistake is yours, and the customer hasn't even realized it yet. In Phase 3 of our framework, we practice proactive integrity. This is the firewall strategy. It means that when you realize a mistake has occurred, long before the customer opens a support ticket, you speak first. You reach out and say, "We realized 5 minutes ago that your access wasn't set up correctly. We've already fixed the issue, credited your account for the inconvenience, and added a little something extra as a thank you for your patience." Consider the neurochemistry of that moment. The customer was about to feel the high-energy friction of a problem. Instead, they received the high-value surprise of a solution they didn't have to ask for. You have just proven to them that you are watching their back. You have proven that you are a partner in their success, not just a vendor of their tools. You have moved from being a business they use to a business they trust. This paradox works because it triggers the deepest parts of our evolutionary hardware. We are tribal creatures. In the wild, we didn't survive by being perfect. We survived by belonging to a tribe that would look out for us when we were vulnerable. When you solve a problem proactively, you are signaling to your customer's primitive brain, "You are safe here. Even when things go wrong, I will protect your interests." That signal is more powerful than any marketing copy or discount code. I want you to rethink every friction point in your business. Do not view them as support issues. View them as connection opportunities. When a customer hits a wall, they are at a fork in the road. They can either walk away with a story of how you failed them, or they can stay with a story of how you saved them. The difference between those two outcomes is the speed and the soul of your response. We are building a brand that doesn't hide. We are building a brand that leads the difficult conversations. In the world of the magnet brand, we don't wait for the complaint to prove we care. We use the mistake to prove our soul. Friction is not the end of the relationship. It is the beginning of a deeper trust. It is time to stop being a firefighter who reacts to the flames and start being a firewall that ensures the customer never even feels the heat. This is the third pillar of your legacy: the courage to be honest, the speed to be proactive, and the integrity to be human. Section 6, Pillar 4, Identity Integration and the Creation of the Magnet Brand. We have reached the summit of our strategic journey. We have discussed the removal of friction through cognitive ease, the reclamation of the lost through ghost interventions, and the building of trust through proactive integrity. But now, we move into the final and most powerful stage of the keep them coming back philosophy. This is the stage of identity integration. This is where your business ceases to be a mere vendor of products or services and begins to function as a badge of identity for your customers. To understand this, we must look at the highest-tier brands in the world, brands that have moved beyond the transaction economy and into the meaning economy. Think about the people who are fiercely, almost irrationally, loyal to brands like Apple, Tesla, or Patagonia. These customers don't just use the products. They don't just buy the services. They have integrated the brand into their very sense of self. They are Apple people. They are Patagonia people. They have adopted the values, the aesthetics, and the mission of the brand as a mirror for their own identity. For these people, leaving the brand wouldn't just be a switch to a competitor. It would feel like a betrayal of their own character. How does this happen? It doesn't happen through a clever logo or a high-end ad campaign. It happens through the systematic, consistent, and personalized recognition of the customer's own journey. It happens when a brand stops treating the customer like a target audience and starts treating them like a partner in a movement. In the legacy phase of our framework, we move away from customer service and into customer calibration. We look for the milestones. Most businesses celebrate their own milestones, their 5-year anniversary, their millionth dollar, their new office. But a magnet brand celebrates the customer's milestones. We celebrate the day they hit their first goal with our tool. We celebrate their first year of membership. We celebrate the moment they moved from a beginner to an expert. In our script kit, we emphasize the personalized anniversary and the success recognition templates. These are not nice-to-haves. They are the architectural blueprints for a tribe. When you reach out to a customer and say, "I was looking at your account today and realized you've been with us for exactly 365 days. I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the consistency you've shown. You are doing something that an algorithm or a mass-market company can never do. You are performing an act of human validation." In an increasingly digital, automated, and anonymous world, the simple act of being seen by a brand is a powerful psychological anchor. We all have a deep-seated, evolutionary need to belong and to be recognized for our progress. When your brand becomes the entity that recognizes that progress, you are no longer a line item on their credit card statement. You are a witness to their growth. This is the mirror effect. A magnet brand functions as a mirror in which the customer sees the best version of themselves. If you sell fitness coaching, you are the mirror that shows them their strength. If you sell business software, you are the mirror that shows them their efficiency. If you sell creative tools, you are the mirror that shows them their genius. Once a person finds a mirror that makes them feel capable, seen, and valued, they will never look for another one. We must also talk about the language of the tribe. High-retention brands create their own vernacular, their own rituals, and their own symbols of belonging. When you use the legacy scripts in your outreach, you are using language that reinforces this belonging. You are inviting them into the inner circle. You are providing surprise and delight moments, unannounced gifts, exclusive insights, or early access that have no strings attached. These just because moments are the most powerful trust builders in your arsenal because they have no transactional motive. They are pure signals of relationship. When you reach this stage, your acquisition happens automatically. Your current customers become your evangelists. They don't just refer people, they recruit them. They do this because their association with you has become a part of their social capital. They want their friends to join the tribe because it validates their own choice to be there. As we prepare to enter the final section of this masterclass, I want you to look at your customer list not as a database, but as a community of individuals who are all trying to become something better. Ask yourself, how can I make them feel more like a member and less like a number? How can I celebrate their journey today? When you stop selling to their needs and start speaking to their identity, you have won. You have built a magnet brand. You have created something that people would truly miss if it were gone. And that is the ultimate definition of business success. Section 7. The Conclusion, the Commitment to the Long Game, Part 7 of 7. We have reached the final threshold of this immersion. We have traveled through the neurobiology of cognitive ease. We have navigated the dangerous waters of silence. We have mastered the paradox of service recovery, and we have touched the heights of identity integration. But as we stand here at the conclusion of this strategic journey, I must speak to you about the most critical element of all. I must speak to you about the long game. The long game is not a timeline. It is a philosophy. It is the refusal to sacrifice your future on the altar of a temporary win. We live in a business culture that is pathologically obsessed with the quarterly report, the launch window, and the immediate ROI. We are surrounded by entrepreneurs who are playing a finite game, a game where the goal is simply to win the transaction and walk away. But you are here because you are playing an infinite game. In the infinite game, the goal is not to win. The goal is to keep playing. The goal is to build something so resilient, so trusted, and so deeply embedded in the lives of your customers that it becomes a permanent fixture in the marketplace. We must acknowledge a hard truth. Implementation is where most dreams of a magnet brand go to die. It is easy to listen to these sections and feel the intellectual excitement of the retention mindset. It is easy to agree with the math of the economics of care. But the real work happens tomorrow morning at 9:00 a.m., when the loudest task on your desk is a new marketing campaign, and the quietest task is a check-in with a customer who has been silent for 30 days. The retention mindset requires a radical reordering of your priorities. It requires you to have the courage to say no to a shiny new acquisition strategy so that you can say yes to a deeper connection with the people you already have. It requires you to look at your business not as a machine that produces money, but as a garden that produces trust. And trust, unlike money, cannot be forced. It cannot be automated. It can only be cultivated through consistent, proactive, and human-centric action. I want you to think about the compound interest of character. Every time you send a proactive note, every time you catch a mistake before the customer does, and every time you celebrate a milestone that isn't your own, you are making a deposit into your legacy fund. For the first month, you might not see the results on your balance sheet. For the second month, your acquisition costs might still seem high. But then something miraculous happens. The momentum shifts. Your churn rate begins to drop. Your customer lifetime value begins to climb. The anti-advocates who used to drain your energy are replaced by a tribe of believers who defend your brand and recruit your new leads for you. Suddenly, you aren't chasing the market anymore. The market is chasing you. This is the magnet effect. It is the moment where the energy you invested in the keep begins to return to you with interest. You find yourself in a position of strategic peace. You are no longer terrified of an algorithm change. You are no longer held hostage by the rising cost of ads. You have built a fortress of loyalty that no competitor can breach, because you have done something they are too lazy or too scared to do. You have actually cared. As you close this audio experience, I want you to perform one final grounding exercise. I want you to look at your current customer list. I want you to look past the email addresses and the subscription tiers. I want you to see the humans. I want you to see the small business owner who is using your tool to feed their family. I want you to see the creative who is using your service to find their voice. I want you to see the person who is struggling and the person who is thriving. Your commitment today is simple but profound. You are going to lead the conversation. You are going to open your proactive connection script kit, not as a collection of templates, but as a collection of bridges. You are going to pick one person today, just one, and you are going to bridge the gap between your brand and their reality. You are going to send that soft re-engagement note or that anniversary celebration. This one act, multiplied by days, weeks, and years, is the only thing that creates a legacy. You are no longer just an entrepreneur, you are a guardian of connection. You are no longer building a sieve, you are building a magnet. You are no longer a hunter, you are a cultivator. The chase ends here. The keep begins now. Go lead the conversation. Go build something that people would truly, deeply miss if it were gone. Go build a business that is worthy of the people it serves. This has been a Creative Corner production. Thank you for your time, your focus, and your commitment to the long game. Now go and keep them coming back.